Hello everybody, it's your boy the Catacomb. Before we get into this video, I just want to say a couple things about the whole video, Hypothetical series for 2024. Thank you to Gen Z, Eduardo, Ibata, Serpentman for the suggestion. I can also do Democrat races if you want. This whole Hypothetical series is up to you. I do have one that I do have an idea in the back of my head, but that's about it. So unless you guys, do a suggestion, then these won't come out. Well, as often as they would. So if you guys want, drop a suggestion. I'm sure there are many people out there, and you can do 5, 10, 20, 30, 50. Shit, at that point, I might as well do, when they drop out. If there's 50 people running for president, I think that's a bit overkill, don't you think? But enjoy the video. Hello everybody, welcome to Decision 2020. Our candidates include Governor of New Hampshire, Chris Sununu, Governor of Vermont, Phil Scott, former Governor of Wisconsin, Scott Walker, current Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, Missouri Senator Josh Hawley. Josh Hawley is the projected winner in Iowa. Here's the delegate allocation for the state of Iowa. Here's the delegates allocated thus far. Josh Hawley with 10, Scott Walker with 9, Pompeo, Sununu, and Scott with 7. Here's the current map. Iowa, the first state filled in. New Hampshire, the projected winner is Chris Sununu, the governor of New Hampshire. Here's the current totals. Here's the current delegate allocation for New Hampshire. Here's the current delegates allocated thus far. Chris Sununu has now secured first place within the race. Nevada, the projected winner is Josh Hawley. Here's the delegate allocation for the state of Nevada. Here's the current delegates allocated thus far. Chris Sununu is still in first place. Here's the current map thus far. We have orange and red. Orange signified by Josh Hawley and red signified by Chris Sununu. South Carolina, the projected winner is Josh Hawley. Here are the current totals thus far. Here's the delegate allocation for the state of South Carolina. Chris Sununu has a 6 delegate lead over Josh Hawley. Here's the current map thus far. Mike Pompeo has dropped out of the presidential race and has chosen to endorse Josh Hawley. Alabama, the projected winner is Josh Hawley. Here's the current totals thus far. Here's the delegate allocation for the state of Alabama. Arkansas, the projected winner is Josh Hawley. Here's the current totals thus far. Here's the delegate allocation for the state of Arkansas. California, the projected winner is Chris Sununu. Here's the current totals thus far. Here's the delegate allocation for the state of California. Colorado, projected winner is Phil Scott. Here's the current totals thus far in Colorado, and here's the delegate allocation for the state of Colorado. Maine, the projected winner is Chris Sununu. Here's the current totals for Maine thus far. Here's the delegate allocations for Maine. Massachusetts, Chris Sununu is the projected winner. Here's the current totals in Massachusetts thus far, and the delegate allocations for the state of Massachusetts. Scott Walker did not break 15, so he did not obtain any delegates. Minnesota, Josh Hawley is the projected winner. Here's the current totals for Minnesota thus far, and the delegate allocation for Minnesota. North Carolina, the projected winner is Josh Hawley. Here's the current totals for North Carolina thus far, and the delegates that the state gives to the candidates. Oklahoma, Josh Hawley is the projected winner. Here are the current totals for the state of Oklahoma and the delegate allocation. Tennessee, Josh Hawley is the projected winner. Here are the totals so far for Tennessee and the delegate allocation. Texas, Josh Hawley is the projected winner. Here's the current totals for the state of Texas. Again, these are all adject to change. Here's the current delegate allocation for Texas. Utah, the projected winner is Josh Hawley. Here is the current totals for Utah and the state allegation. Vermont, the projected winner, is their own governor, Phil Scott. Here's the current totals for Vermont. And here's the delegate allocation for the state of Vermont. Scott Walker did not break 15% in Vermont, so he did not obtain any delegates. Here are the delegates allocated thus far. Josh Hawley has re-secured his lead in first place in the 2024 Republican primary. Here's the current map thus far. We're seeing a lot more orange, some red and yellow on this map. We have some news. Scott Walker has dropped out of the presidential race and has chosen to endorse Josh Hawley, while Phil Scott has also announced he drops out but endorses the other candidate, Chris Sununu. Idaho, Josh Hawley is the projected winner. Here's the current totals for the state of Idaho and the delegate allocation. Michigan, Chris Sununu is the projected winner. Here's the current totals for the state of Michigan and the delegate allocation. Mississippi, Josh Hawley is the projected winner. Here's the current totals in Mississippi and the delegate allocation. Missouri, the projected winner is the senator of Missouri, Josh Hawley. Here's the current totals thus far for Missouri and the delegate allocation. Washington is projected to go to Chris Sununu. Here's the current totals in Washington and the delegate allocation. Here are the current delegates allocated thus far. Josh Hawley still has a lead within the race. Here's the current map thus far. North Dakota, projected winner is Chris Sununu. Here's the current totals thus far for for North Dakota and the delegate allocation. Here's the delegates allocated thus far. Josh Hawley still has a lead within the race. Here's the current map thus far. Guam, the projected winner is Josh Hawley. Here are the current delegates allocated thus far. Josh Hawley still has a lead within the race. Northern Mariana Islands are projected to go to Josh Hawley. Current delegates allocated thus far, 440 for Josh Hawley. Florida is now being projected to go to Josh Hawley. Here are the stats for Florida. Here are the the delegate allocation for Florida. Illinois projected to go to Chris Sununu. Here are the current stats for Illinois and the delegate allocation. Here are the current delegates allocated thus far within the race. Josh Hawley still has the lead in the race, almost a 100 delegate lead. It's 99, but almost 100 delegate lead. Here's the current map anyway. Seeing a lot more red and orange being filled in this map, as those are the only two colors that we'll see from here on out. American Samoa, the projected winner is Josh Hawley. Here are the current delegates allocated thus far. Josh Hawley now has a 108 delegate lead over Chris Sununu. Chris Sununu is the projected winner in Alaska. Here's the current totals so far in Alaska and the delegate allocation. Here's the delegates allocated thus far. Josh Hawley still has his lead within the race. Here's the current map thus far. The Virgin Islands are projected to go to Josh Hawley. The delegates allocated thus far are shown on screen. Wisconsin is projected to go to Josh Hawley, the home of the man who endorsed him, former Governor Scott Walker. Here are the current totals within Wisconsin. Here are the delegates allocated thus far. Here's the current map right now. Arizona projected to go to Josh Hawley. Here's the totals for the state of Arizona and its delegate allocation. Here are the delegates allocated thus far. Josh Hawley, it does have a good lead within the race. Here's the map thus far. Virginia projected to go to Josh Hawley. Here are the totals for the state of Virginia and its delegate allocation. Here are the delegates allocated thus far. Josh Hawley now has 661 delegates. Here's the current map thus far. Do expect a lot more orange on this map, as we do have a lot of betting odds and predicted says that Chris Sununu is not set to win any more states within this race, according to Predictit. Ohio is projected to go to Josh Hawley. Here are the totals for the state of Ohio and the delegate allocation. Here are these delegates allocated thus far. Josh Hawley now has broken 700 delegates. Here's the current map thus far. Wyoming projected to go to Josh Hawley. Here's the current map this is the totals for Wyoming. And the delegate allocation for Wyoming, and now after this, a lot of people are starting to call this race to go to Josh Hawley. But again, this is still anyone's race. We could go into a brokered convention if need be. Here's the current map thus far. Nebraska projected to go to Josh Hawley. Here's the current totals for the state of Nebraska. Here are the delegate allocation for the state of Nebraska. And we have delegates allocated thus far. Here's the current map for the 2024 Republican primary race. Oregon projected to go to Josh Hawley. This was a close race, but Hawley was able to win in the popular vote, but they both tied within the delegate allocations. Here's the current map thus far, the delegate allocation map, as I should say, and Chris Sununu has finally broken 600 delegates. Well, back a few weeks ago, we called that Chris Sununu was not supposed to win any more states within the race according to predicted, but he has won the state of Delaware. Here's the current stats for the state of Delaware and the delegate allocation. Indiana projected to go to Josh Hawley. Here's the current stat totals thus far and the delegate allocation. Another shot. Chris Sununu has won the state of Maryland. Here are the totals so far for Maryland and the delegate allocation. Montana projected to go to Josh Hawley. Here are the current totals and the delegate allocation. New Mexico projected to go to Josh Hawley. Here are the total stats in New Mexico and the delegate allocation. Pennsylvania projected to go to Josh Hawley. Here are the totals in Pennsylvania as well as their delegate allocation. Chris Sununu has also won the state of Rhode Island. Here are the totals for the state of Rhode Island and the delegate allocation. South Dakota projected to go to Josh Hawley. Here are the totals within the state of South Dakota. Here are the delegate allocations for the state of South Dakota. Washington, D.C. is now being projected to go to Josh Hawley. Here are the totals within the state of D.C. and the delegate allocation. Here are the delegates allocated thus far. Josh Hawley has 930 delegates, while Chris Sununu has 758. Here's the current map thus far. As of just now, Chris Sununu has dropped out of the presidential primary race and has chosen to endorse Josh Hawley. Georgia is projected to go to Josh Hawley. West Virginia projected to go to Josh Hawley. Here are the delegates allocated thus far. Josh Hawley has broken 1,000 delegates. The total is 1,236 to win the nomination. Here is the current map thus far. Expect a lot of orange to start filling up these gray states. Kentucky, Josh Hawley is the projected winner. Here are the delegates allocated thus far. Josh Hawley still has 1,000 less than what's needed. Here's the current map. Kentucky projected to go to Josh Hawley. New Jersey projected to go to Josh Hawley. Here are the delegates allocated thus far. Josh Hawley has broken 1,100 delegates within the race. Here's the current map thus far. Kansas projected to go to Josh Hawley. Louisiana projected to go to Josh Hawley. Here are the current delegates allocated thus far. Josh Hawley really only needs 16 more delegates to win the race. Here's the current map thus far. We have 2 races left to call. Or 3 races. Connecticut projected to go to Josh Hawley. Hawaii projected to go to Josh Hawley. And New York is finally being projected to go to Josh Hawley. And here's the final delegate total. Josh Hawley has broken the 1,236 threshold. He has won this race with 1,362 delegates. Here's the map so far. Oregon is gray due to the delegation tie between Josh Hawley and Chris Sununu. We can now declare the winner of the 2024 Republican primary, and the winner is now Josh Hawley. Josh Hawley has won the 2024 Republican primary nomination. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. The links down to my main channel, gaming channel, Instagram, and Twitter are in the description below. If you have an idea for a hypothetical, tell us down in the comments. There's a 90% chance I'll see it. This is Hypothetical saying peace.